Welcome to the Big Play Football Show with the top dog, Hanford, Dixon. That special bark. And we've got a special guest. We've got former NFL coach and Super Bowl champion, Gregg Williams, joining us.
Thank you very much. I enjoy it. Thank you.
You know, it's been really nice to have you reacclimated with the Cleveland scene and being at our tailgates. How has it been for you?
The Cleveland fan base is by far the number one place I've been. And back in the days when I started with the Houston Oilers and used to get hit with the dog biscuits and the batteries and everything down in the old stadium in the late 80s, early 90s, to now, and that will never change. I have family that lives here from now on, so I'll always be able to come here. And my son here works for Lakefront Capital and a big tech company and everything, so I come up here and visit. But I enjoy being around the fans. You know, 40-plus years of coaching and playing and all that kind of stuff, I've never been to a tailgate party. All of a sudden, I went down to one of these down here, and I'm thinking, holy cow, what have I been missing? So it was a great experience.
I'm so glad you liked it. Yeah, Hanford, have you been to one yet? I missed this past week.
I have been to a couple, but what I was going to tell Coach is, I tell a lot of the young kids, when I say young kids, young players today, I tell them about the fans, how great the fans is in Cleveland. I said, let me tell you something. You guys, they support you whether you win, lose, or draw. But I said, just win something. Just win something. You want to see how crazy these fans are here in Cleveland? Just win a few games. And I'm telling you, Coach, they will show you what kind of fans they are.
They will do it.
These fans are different. At our first tailgate, there was a couple celebrating their honeymoon at the tailgate. Burke Lakefront Airport with us.
Honeymoon?
Yes, I can't make this up.
No, Gab, come on now.
We gave him a shout-out on the air.
You telling me.
You're right. Browns fans are different. They got the tattoos. They're naming their dog. They're naming their kid. They're doing all kinds of stuff.
Well,
we are different.
I am not tattooing anything. I don't care what anybody say. First of all, I'm a chicken. I'm too scared. I'm not going to. I think it'll hurt too much. And I have nothing against tattoos. I don't care. If that's your thing, if you love them, that's you. But I am not tattooing my nothing.
All we want to do is
well, Hanford, you and I are together on that. I'm not doing it either. No way.
We won't get you guys branded today, but all we want to do is get a tattoo of a W on the scoreboard every week, and we're going to recap. Okay, Browns win when we come back right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Football Show with the top dog, Hanford, Dixon, and we've got our host, our celebrity special host, Gregg Williams, alongside us as well. We got to break down this Browns win. We're feeling good. Win over the Titans. And I know you two are defensive minds here, but let's go over the offense first. Do you think that Deshaun Watson has won your confidence back with his performance this week?
I would say this, of what I watched yesterday, and I think Kevin Stefanski and his staff did a good job on keeping Deshaun on rhythm. And if you haven't played the position before, and I was a quarterback a long time ago, is just keep him on pace. And I saw more quick rhythm starting plays in the passing game. And then when they wanted him to take the shots deep, what I saw him do is I saw him max protect. I saw him play action to be able to keep the pocket moving a little bit to where that's his great legs. And I saw him take those shots, okay, with better understanding and awareness of I don't have to block somebody myself, okay, because they can't bring too many people to do that. I think they did a very good job with that. And the run game, too, is obviously a friend for any quarterback. But I do think it's another step in getting back to the old Deshaun that we saw a long time ago.
Coach, I have to agree with you. I watched him, and I was one that I kept saying that, and I was tired of excuses for him because, obviously we wanted to get him back to the numbers in 2020 where he was obviously why we gave him all that money. But you look at him yesterday, he was just a totally different guy. I think it was 27 for 33, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was very, very efficient yesterday. He was, you're exactly right. He was just going through his progression and throwing the ball to the right guy. I was also impressed, Coach, with Ford, the running back. He's taken over that lead back role right now, obviously, since Nick Chubb got hurt. But this kid has got some giddy up in him. And obviously he's done it at the college level, but he's showing everybody that this role is not too big for him. Coach, they always have the old saying, next man up, and he is definitely the next man up. And I'd like for you to comment, too, on the signing. Obviously, we go out and we get Kareem Hunt. We bring him into the role. You know a little something about him also, don't you?
I do. And, I think, Ann, you hit a home run with what you said about the completion percentage of Deshaun and stuff. And I want to say this, confidence, breeds expertise. And when all of a sudden you can diagram and situationally awareness of getting the ball out of Deshaun's hand, completion after completion after completion. Now watch him make the tight throws. Watch him make the difficult throws because of the confidence that's been established in him about throw and catch, throw and catch, throw and catch. I really do believe this new young running back here, and he stepped in after Nick went down last week. He did a really good job, and it wasn't just the sideways runs this week. Even downhill this week, and downhill put one foot in the ground and cut back or bounce. He did a very good job with that. And then, obviously, I think that that shows you the coaching staff's awareness of when they bring Kareem back, that he understands the verbiage. The game's the same. And as you remember this, Ham, is that all of a sudden we make it Chinese, Portuguese, French, all this kind of ways on calling dive right, dive left, or hitch right, hitch left. We got 19,000 words, and we wonder why the player's confused on what we want him to do. Kareem understands the language. He understands the vernacular of what Kevin and the offense. And, Alex Van Pelt played for me a long time ago when I was the head coach of the Bills. I enjoy giving and digging Alex every chance I get a chance to on certain things. And I talk with him a little bit, after the game, too, yesterday on text and stuff about, hey, looks like you got a little bit smarter. You're going back to when you were a quarterback for me, when you knew everything.
Well, I have a question for you because I'm going to go to that Alex Van Pelt. I mean, obviously he's got the title of offensive coordinator on this football team, but he's not the guy who's Stefanski is the guy that's really calling the plays. Is he the offensive coordinator, or is Stefanski, or what the hell's going on with that?
I would say this is that his title, and he is communicating back and forth with Kevin.
Okay.
During the game, you can see that going on from the sideline, and he smiled when I made mention that to him because I watch it on the sideline. I can see who's talking and who's not. Because one of the things as a defensive coordinator my whole life is I watched the play caller. I watched his body language. I watched what was coming out of his mouth if he didn't mask it. And Kevin does a good job masking it there too, but they work together on that. And Alex, because he's played the game at this level, and also he's been in several different styles of offense, he has been a calming influence for Deshaun. I know that behind the scenes.
Before we jump to the other side of the ball, I wanted, I looked at it and I watched. I thought they made an effort trying to get Njoku the ball a little bit. And Amari Cooper is really starting to be that go-to wide receiver for Deshaun. And you know what I was happy with yesterday? And I was a little worried, throughout the first two games because this particular guy had not shown up yet with our football team. I'm talking DPJ. You watched him yesterday, even in the game against the Steelers, some of the punts. I mean, he was a little tentative in some of those punts. He didn't want to act like he didn't want to field those balls. But watching him yesterday, he finally showed up. He started to catch a few balls. And as a guy, I think he has a lot of talent.
Not only can he catch the ball and get some confidence there, but run after the catch. And then what we need to be looking at is how do you create the run after catch for him? Okay, simplify the catching part of it. Okay, let him have confidence that he is playing good with his hands, because what he can do once he catches the ball, he can make you miss. He can make and break tackles that way. I also do believe one of the things from a defensive coordinator standpoint is when a team has a hybrid tight end, has a tight end that can play wide receiver principles, but also still block in the run game the way David can, puts much more stress on you than maybe a high-profile outside wide receiver, because all the different people that he can have to prove one-on-one against linebackers, safeties, maybe not as quite as good as cover principles. They did do a good job of starting to try to address that. And that tight end position, which is inside, closer throws to the quarterback, is something that helps you confidently, because you're not making the longer or deeper throws to that tight end to get shorter down and distances to manage the game. I thought they managed the down and distances much better in this game than I saw here for a couple of games.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because, Gabby, I always said that tight end with David Njoku is
he's due for a touchdown.
Yeah, and he's like Coach said, he's just so hard to cover, and you can't really throw a linebacker on him because they can't cover him. It's got to be someone in the defensive backfield if they're going to do it, because the guy, I mean, he's fast, he's big, and he can get it done, Gab.
Yes, he can. How about defense to wrap up quickly? We'll take a break, but when we come back, we'll talk a little more defense. Get your thoughts on that, how dominant they have been. But I think we're going to wrap, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Football Show with the top dog, Hanford Dixon. And, of course, we're joined by Coach Gregg Williams with us. We're going to get our fan take of the week, our Montrose fan take of the week. We've got JT Montrose with us. I know we want to deep dive into the defense, but this is too great since we've been talking about David Njoku. JT, please tell us about Njoku coming in to your guys' shop.
Yeah, this was maybe about 2 years ago or so. Njoku walks into our West Side Land Rover Jag Volvo store over off Brook Park Road in Tiedemann, and, you know, here's this big, imposing man, just absolutely chiseled, and he's wearing a robe and slippers. That was it. Our sales guys are sitting there going, who is this guy?
And that's just him.
And that does not shock me a bit, because when I was with him all the time, I used to tell him he spends extra times on braiding and changing the colors of his hair so somebody will watch that and not pay attention to balls being thrown to him.
Yeah, like and then also with the shirtless thing, you'll get distracted with the abs. Like there's a lot going on there.
The man is a.
Well, maybe not you guys.
Wait a minute here, What are you talking about?
You guys too. Come on, I know you spend a lot of time on the elliptical. I'm sure you're looking at a picture of David when you're on that elliptical. One day I'll get it.
Way to cover it up, Gab.
There we go.
Hey, us guys, we're not 25 anymore. You know, 6'4" and absolutely in the prime of our life.
What I was gonna say, hey, if I was in that store and he came in with whatever I'm not gonna tell him that he can't come in with. You wear whatever you want to wear in that store, you know.
And I'm going to tell him, as long as it has pockets that has the cash to buy something, then I wouldn't worry about if he's got his cash.
JT, what was your take on Browns this week, and got any questions for the guys up here?
Gabby, I mean, it was a lot of fun watching yesterday's game. That defense, I mean, it's unparalleled right now. I mean, I have not seen a defense play that aggressively, led by Miles, the way that he came out yesterday. It was impressive. I mean, they absolutely set the tone from snap number one until the very end of the ball game. It was impressive. And, you know, I was sitting there thinking about what I wanted to ask you guys today was, Coach, you've been in the game a long, long time. Do you think that anything like, you know, losing Nick Chubb last week, do you think that was an added motivator? And Top Dog, you've played the game a long time, you know, and I know you guys are, when you're out there, you're paid at a high level to perform. But do you think that motivates in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, I do. I really believe it provided an example, and it provided a rallied up, very team strong locker room to go out and perform in his vision and his name. You saw a lot of the guys have his number on. A lot of the guys have, things charted on their wristbands or on their arms and stuff. I do believe that. And it was nice for me also to see, Miles was leading that charge also. Now, I will go back to the first play. I was thinking about getting in the helmet cam and somehow getting in his ear because he freelanced the first play of the game, and it did not make me very happy. But I will tell you this, is he corrected it after that, and he was getting off the ball in the way that Jim Shorts, who he and I worked together many, many years ago on the same staff at the Titans, who they were playing at that time, they got off the ball and played the way that Jim Schwartz wanted him to do. Miles provided a good example yesterday on that's what it's about.
And I have to say this, I agree. As players, and I would say this as coaches too, we always try to find little things to motivate us. And obviously that was a big motivator. Those guys wanted to obviously win one for Nick Chubb. And now what they have to do is they have to keep it going, because I think Deshaun said in his speech there, I think he said that he had just talked to Nick Chubb's right before the game, and Chubb told him to let's go out and let's get this one. But that defense, man, I'm going to tell you something.
Defense has allowed one touchdown in 3 weeks. They held Derrick Henry to 20 yards on 11 carries.
Goodness.
Held the Titans to 94 net yards. Obviously, Myles Garrett with the 3.5 sacks. Also, did we talk about the play yet? We were talking about this pre-show, but when he forced the Titans into a delay of game penalty, anywhere he was going, they were trying to line up with him. And he's such a dominant force.
Boy, he is. Miles, I thought he had his best game. Obviously, he had his best game. 3.5 sacks, I want to say that he had. I think he also caused a fumble during the course of the game, and he's just a force to deal with. And you right, Jim Schwartz let him just go and line up pretty much wherever he wants to line up and get that matchup that he's looking for during the course of the game. But I think what's happening, Coach, I think when you look at them, I'm talking about the entire defense, linebackers, defensive backs, I think they all understand and know what they're doing. And I think he's also made this really, really easy for them.
He's simplified a lot of things, but one of the things that he hasn't compromised on is how hard they play, how fast they play, how tough they play. And that's Jim Schwartz, and he's done a very good job with that. I do believe this, and this is another indicator for everybody to watch and see. Miles is a rare athlete. But how many guys do you see that can put his hand in the ground and get off, but also stand up with the athletic ability that he has to be able to change direction, jab and fake, and do all the same things from a standing position than putting his hand down and get off the ball? You don't see that very often in the National Football League either, and he's done a good job with that.
Cool. Well, we will evaluate how our defense is going to stack up against the Ravens when we come back right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Football Show with the top dog, Hanford Dixon, and we are joined by Coach Gregg Williams in studio. We are going to take a look at this game coming up versus the Ravens, and we're going to bring in Gregg Williams' son, Blake Williams, also with a huge wealth of NFL experience. I believe first father-son duo to win a Super Bowl championship together.
Yes.
Very first one, and he was on the Cleveland Browns staff here with me at that time too, and now he's retired into wealth management and technology.
Hey, big dog, why do you want to just come in here and just punish me? You come in here, he's got all those diamonds on his finger right there. I just want to punish me. But you know what? I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you, big dog.
Thank you. It's funny. It's I wear it so much more now in retirement than I did when you're constantly trying to chase the next one. You learn to appreciate it a lot more later on down the line. Yeah, definitely.
Well, we're happy to have you. You flex. You guys bring that bling, okay? Because the Browns want bling, and we could get it with this kind of defense that we have. I mean, let's be honest. Let's talk about they've been dominant through 3 weeks. What do they have to do, Blake and company, to shut down Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense?
And I think, you're seeing the blueprint for it. I think when you're seeing the raw speed of how they're playing. The athleticism that they've always had, but they're playing together and cutting it loose. And then the raw speed of up front. and Darius Smith has been a nice add-on as well too. But you've got to be able to contain the formation, stop the run, and then you've got to be able to run with Lamar Jackson, right? And they're doing that right now.
Blake, I think you guys will agree with me. I've always said the game of football is controlled on the offensive and played on the offensive and defensive line of scrimmage. And I think that's where, especially our defense, right there along that defensive line, those guys, you hit it right on the head. They're playing with so much confidence right there on that line. And then it carries over to the linebackers and the defensive backs. Because, defensive backs, I wish I had the defensive line that we have now. I wish I had. The guys we had, they played, but they didn't play like the way these guys are playing. But as a corner, as a safety, you understand and you realize, Coach, that quarterback is not going to have very long to get rid of that football. And he's got to do something with it, and he's got to do something with it quick.
There's no doubt that the defensive line sets up defensive coverage time after time after time just on allowing the quarterback, he better stay in very fast rhythm. And then you as a defensive back, knowing that they got to get the ball out of his hand, it changes your technique, how aggressive you can be. If he can pat the ball or run out of the pocket, extend plays, those are the big broken type plays that cost you on defense. And Blake, you've had the opportunity to coach at all three levels, D-line, linebackers, DBs, with me and all the different staffs. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's, again, totally what you're seeing right now, right? What you're seeing right now and what they've got to do versus the Ravens as well, too. I think that's the MO, right? Where when you're able to stop and shut down the run, you're being good on first down, so you're getting into advantageous situations, right? Players aren't having to play both run and pass, worried about play action pass. And then even in the rush element of it, I think what you're seeing this year, and they've got to continue it even more this week because we know the scrambling / athleticism effect of Lamar is you're seeing some really good, maybe better than, say, Myles Garrett's the longest tenured guy there, better push in the internal pocket with the D-tackle plays and then even some of the twist and games and internal blitzes they're doing. So you see those 3.5 sacks. Yesterday, Myles, a lot of them were just rip and run. Mm-hmm. He was running to a spot, that classic wide 9 aiming point spot, and Ryan Tannehill could not step up, where maybe in past years Lamar's been able to step up or people have been able to step up and avoid that. Now he can just have a track race to that spot because of what they're doing inside.
No doubt about that. And the inside part of the defensive line working with the outside part of the defensive line, and I don't care what profession you're in, the scariest thing to handle no matter what profession you're in professional sport is speed. Speed will shock you. How hard you throw the ball, how fast you throw the ball, how fast you run, how much you change direction. And then the things that Jim Schwartz is doing, which is doing a very good job on, is creating the one-on-ones with certain speed guys. All of a sudden, an interior lineman has to block the speed of an outside exterior defensive lineman. That's what he's doing with Myles, moving them around. And guys aren't used to happen to combat the speed that he can get off the ball. But it's not only him. Jim's got all of them, just as Blake said, Hannah, you said too, in the knockback principles, on the not letting a step-up lane occur from the speed from the outside too. They're working it hand in hand, and it's amazing how much better coverage gets when all of a sudden the quarterback is worrying about his life.
You guys tell me this. What I see too, looking at this defense, it seems like I always say, as soon as the game is over, I immediately started watching film, because I wanted to be prepared for the opponent, whoever that opponent was going to be the following week. And it just seemed like these guys, they're playing with so much confidence. Before the opposing team run a play, these guys know pretty much what that play is going to be. Look at this number right here, 20 first downs in 3 games. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much all. Is that crazy or what?
It is. It is, and that's what they're controlling, and I see it as well too. And that's kind of been a Jim Schwartz blueprint wherever he goes, and whatnot. And it's a combination of, they're not just a super huge playbook or super voluminous playbook. So they try to keep guys communication and on the same speed and knowing exactly what they're doing, having confidence in it. And like you said, that allows you to as well too chop limbs off the trees, because you're not overly thinking about what you're doing. You know what they're doing, before the snap. So I'm adjusting, or we're communicating how we're going to execute this call because we know what they're doing. Now Jim calls the same call, but we know they're doing this now. We know they're running the ball, or we know they're passing the ball. We know they're doing this concept over here. You see that right now, and they're jumping stuff. They're squeezing stuff at super tight windows, and they've got that confidence going, and it's fun to see.
Okay, offense. How do we think Deshaun is going to fare against this Ravens defense? Baltimore has the 11th best pass defense, 200 yards per game. Well, they're coming off a close loss to the Colts in overtime by a field goal, so they're going to have that chip on their shoulder. Mm-hmm. What do we need from Deshaun and our offense?
I'll jump on this one first. I think it's going to be interesting. I think this is going to be a very interesting game. I'm just glad we have them at home. But I think we're catching the Baltimore Ravens at the right time, because what I mean by that is you look at that football team, and they have a lot of injuries. They've had a lot of injuries. They have a lot of guys filling in on that football team. But Lamar is going to be Lamar. I mean, he can turn a ball game right away. I mean, just like this, he can turn a ball game. I know they like this kid. They have Flowers that they drafted, the wide receiver. Mm-hmm. He's playing extremely well for these guys. But we have to just do the same thing that we've been doing these past 3 weeks. The same thing I'm talking about defensively. I think if we do that, it's going to be a good ball game. Probably going to be a close ball game, but I think we can pull out of it with the win, Coach.
I do believe this. I'm very close with Todd Monken, the new offensive coordinator there at the Ravens. I understand what he's doing, why he's doing it. He was on a couple staffs here with Blake and I also. Lamar has done a good job of adapting that way. The way that this game is going to come will be the defensive linemen making sure they keep him occupied in the pocket. Don't let him extend plays. Don't let him extend plays and take big shots down the field. Make him stay on time with that way. And Jim Schwartz has gone against that style of offense a lot, okay, and what he's going to be doing. And the system here right now really, really is effective versus the things that they're doing right now. And here's the deal, is that can they make sure they're winning the down and distances early in the snap, so that now you put them in those third and longs. And I think Jim's done a very good job of making sure that guys are having to do more third and longs than before here in the past.
Coach, would you pretty much, maybe not all the time, but most of the time, especially on that third and long, would you have a spy right there in the middle? Something similar to that?
We had that, and I'll let Blake talk about that too, because as a D-line coach here for me is that we have a lot of spy principles on that to make sure that we don't allow Lamar to extend the play with his legs because he's dangerous.
Yes.
Blake?
Yeah, I mean, I think you do that I'll say in kind of our method and in Jim's method as well too. You probably do it a little bit more with a four-man rush, but games and wraps and stuff like that. I mean, I think you see the spy a little bit more when you don't maybe have as good of rush principles in cage, in collapsing the pockets principles. Some people that just kind of are letting guys just run way upfield or not having this coordinated approach. I think you see a very scientific coordinated approach with Jim Schwartz, is where you don't see the spies quite as much. From that standpoint, they're going to let it happen with their rush games and they're just collapsing the pocket, right? So there's no what we call cage rushing. So there's no lanes right there. But you got to do what you got to do, right? So you either got to bring extra rushers in on them, and or stand somebody up, and let him just mirror and match him.
And Blake, you bring a smile on my face too. Not a whole lot of people understand about how you get the extra spy guy with whoever the interior game player is coming into the A gap. And instead of you going ahead and lining him up in the A gap and spying from right there, is that he's going to enter into it from a trick or a game or a pressure, and how he handles the pocket presence. And he's coached that way is to make sure there's no step up for Lamar Jackson. But that's exactly right, and that's what Jim does.
Well, this is going to be an interesting week. I mean, everybody knows that Ozzy and I are best friends. We pretty much talk every day. That's my golf buddy. And
I think the world of him too.
Yeah,
what an unbelievable man.
He really is. And we were just talking the other day, and I'm telling you, he was just giving our defense so much praise, talking about how good they are and how good they're playing. But I told him, you don't have to give me any of that information. I said, because big dog, we're coming after you. They said, you just have to know we're coming after you guys. But Todd is interesting. Munkin, you talking about him? He was obviously I went to University of Southern Mississippi, and he's also little Southern Mississippi guy. So I think personally he was the best thing that probably could have happened for Lamar. I just think that. I really believe that. But this week, the hell with them. We got to take them out.
And we're at home, and we probably got to talk about how underrated our home field advantage is. I mean, Coach actually brought it up a little bit earlier in the show about how unique our fan base is. And by that, maybe he means a little mentally ill, a little mentally unstable, because we are such a diehard group of fans out here. But at home, Browns have outscored opponents 51-6 this year. We're 27-15-1 at home since 2018. And, like, there's no way to say it. It's just stuff goes down at home, okay?
Yeah.
So what kind of atmosphere are we going to expect this week, and how is that going to play to intimidating the Ravens?
Well, I'll say this really quick to give you guys a chance to comment on it. You know, when you're playing your teams in the AFC North in the same division, anything could happen. I mean, it doesn't matter where you play them. You say, I go back to that old saying, anytime, anywhere, let's get it on. And I remember we played the Cincinnati Bengals, and I was up there in the stands, and you know how they got this old thing, Coach, guitar, you know, you want to go hit that damn thing. And but I tell you what, it's a team in the AFC North.
And the other thing here real quick is here's how I've always measured the quality of a home field advantage. Okay, fans, did you force them to take a timeout? Fans, did you force them to false start? Fans, did you force them to have to extra communications and all of a sudden they can't do any verbal checks at the line of scrimmage? There's where the dominant fans are. And Blake, you know, you and I have been a part of some of those fan bases that we had headaches for 2 days after the game because back in the old Saints days too, and Seattle days too, and the Cleveland Browns fans, I still go back thinking about that back in the old stadium time. But what do you think?
Yeah, we just need them loud. We need them riled up. It's an AFC North battle, baby.
All right. We're excited for it. We're going to come back with some bets, actually, see what you guys really think about what's going to happen this week against the Ravens right after this.
Yep.
Welcome back to the Big Play Football Show with the top dog, Hanford Dixon, and we're joined by Coach Gregg Williams. It's been actually such a joy to have you, and Blake, too. Son Blake Williams
Thank you,
in studio sharing your input and all of your experience. And really, we probably need our own show for you guys just to tell your in-depth stories because I'm telling you, in between breaks, it's so much more entertaining. I know we're trying to keep it concise for TV, but truthfully, the stories are the best parts, so we really appreciate you joining us. We are going to get into our bet segment. We'll keep it pow-pow, so maybe we can sneak in a Coach Williams story here at the very end of our show. But as we look at this matchup against the Ravens, what are we thinking for over-under total points, 41.5? Cleveland has been averaging 24.3 points per game and allowing 10.7. Baltimore averaging 23.7 points per game and allowing 18.3. Any predictions here?
Well, I'm a defense guy. I am a defense guy, and I think these are Baltimore, like I said, they've had a lot of injuries, but they still play defense, and obviously we're playing extremely well, so I'm going to go with the under on, what is it, 41? I want to
41.5.
41.5. I'm going to go with the under on that.
And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this on to my son, who's retired now, because for me to start talking about betting, then I'm right then encouraging a call from Roger Goodell. So since I'm still in the professional football mode, Blake, what do you think since you're retired?
No doubt. I totally agree with Hanford and on that standpoint from the defense. Thinking about it, I would probably take the over and just slightly. And I think it's going to be one of these. This is why I think if we're just talking about offensive points scored, it's probably going to be, a more of a battle, a low-scoring game. But I think with the defense and special teams of these two teams, I think you're going to probably have one untraditional a touchdown. Somebody's going to get a sack, forced fumble return for a touchdown. Somebody's going to get a pick six or a kickoff return, punt return, touchdown sort of thing set up, and all of a sudden you're going to look at, I feel like we always do, where it's going to be exactly 42 points, and we just hit the over, but I'm going to take the over slightly.
And I always love, laugh, and smile when you talk about those special teams. And, go back to John as a special teams coach and as a head coach. They've always done a very good job in that area. I can still tell he's tampering, in that area as a head coach, as a special teams coordinator, because he was so good back in the days when he and I were younger.
What about Myles Garrett? Okay, over under 1.5 sacks. Obviously, this past week, 3.5 from him. Garrett's had 4.5 sacks in the last 4 games versus Baltimore, 2.5 last year. So over under on Myles.
I'm gonna say over. I think he's on a roll right now.
He's on a streak.
He's on
an
a
animal.
streak. He's on a roll. He is an animal, and I'm gonna go with over.
Blake, it's you.
I agree with you there. I'm going to go with the over. I agree. He's on a roll right now. He's feeling it. I think the way they're playing as well too. Obviously, Coach Monken's got some understanding the history of him from back in practice. But right now, I mean, if we keep giving him these leverage situations, as I would call it, where he can pin his ear back and go, and he knows who's blocking him and where the dude's going to be, I see him. He can probably get 2 just by that.
And he can find that weak link on the line if there's a weak link.
And they're moving him around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, over under 230 yards. What are we going to see from him?
Oh, he's on a roll right now. This last game he had 289. I think definitely he's going to go over 230 yards. Blake.
Is this passing or total yards?
You know what? Let's do passing.
Passing. I'm gonna say under. I'm gonna say just slightly. I think he's gonna be in that like 225, range, and just miss it. But I think they're gonna do some good things on the ground.
All right. Good stuff. How about anytime touchdown score? We did mention Njoku. Well, actually, Hanford brought up Njoku and his abs, so he's probably due for a touchdown. What do you think? Or do you want to see a Ford, a Cooper, anytime touchdown? Who do you got?
Well, I'm gonna go under on that one. You know what?
You pick who. Who's gonna be your anytime touchdown scorer? Pick somebody.
I'll go with Ford.
Okay.
I'll go with Ford. I think I'll go with Ford.
What do you think, Blake?
I'm gonna go with Amari.
All right, another Cooper TD. I love it.
Would Ndochu be fined if he showed his abs after a touchdown? Something like that? I have no idea.
He should take it.
Is that finable or what? I don't know.
He should take it.
I wonder what kind of fine that is.
You just get an endorsement deal.
Yeah, you better not give him any ideas, Coach. He will.
I know.
I mean, you better believe it. He'll show up out there.
He will.
Boom. How are we doing on time? Should we throw it to break and come back?
That is.
I say we throw it to break. We'll come back. Maybe we can sneak out a story or any more things from Coach Williams. We'll end it right there on that. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Big Play Football Show. We are wrapping up with the top dog, Hanford Dixon, and Coach Gregg Williams. We've also had, what a treasure to have Blake Williams with us in studio as well. And, it's our 2-minute warning. We can be a little lax with this. We got a little extra, more than 2 minutes. I say we toss it to Blake to talk about this really cool charity event that you will be emceeing this weekend for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Yes. So thank you very much. The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which is really it's the biggest cancer research donor society and fundraising society in the country every year. And every year here in Cleveland, we do this big Light the Night event in Wade Oval. It'll be this Sunday night. Events kind of kick off at 5:30. The walk will start, I think, at 7:30, and we'll have this little walk. Different colored lighted lanterns that you can hold on the walk and let go and the different colors represent different people that you may know that have passed away from different types of cancer. But my firm, Lakefront Capital, we're the chair of the LLS, and I'm going to be emceeing this event at Wade Oval this Sunday night. So please come out after the Browns game if you guys can. You'll all be downtown anyway, so please come out and support. And if you can't, there's a lot of ways that you can get online, donate. There's even in November, there's going to be a virtual Zoom walk, an extra walk for people who weren't able to participate there. But it's a great event. Again, at Wade Oval this Sunday night, the Light the Night with LLS and Lakefront Capital, and I'll be running it.
Blake, is this your first time emceeing this?
This is my first time emceeing it, obviously with Jimmy,
Yeah.
in his recent, having to step back on the rebout with leukemia. That makes it even just an added, soft spot in my heart, for it.
We're talking about Jim Donovan.
Yep.
And I'm sure people piece that together, but since he had to step away from the booth, we're all thinking about him and have him and his family in our prayers. So it's really cool what you're doing.
Yes.
And I think it's really great. I'm proud, Dad, is that when we're giving back and the things that we do to come back out and help the people that really are in trouble, help the people that really need help. And this is a big event, and I'm proud you're doing this. That's outstanding.
Thank you.
And I just want to talk about Jim a little bit. Obviously, I've been knowing Jim a long time, and since I've been in Cleveland, and he's just a phenomenal guy. I mean, just a really, really great guy. They don't come like Jim, but I just want to let him know that we are thinking about him, and we're wishing him the best, and we are praying for him and his family.
Yes, sir.
I do. I think the same thing, Han. My time with him when I was here with the Browns, he's a special human being, and we are thinking about him.
We appreciate the efforts off the field. I think it's really cool what you guys have done in your professional careers, obviously trying to pursue excellence on the field, but off the field, any other ventures that you've been able to contribute to?
I had the Gregg Williams Foundation for 25 years that provided aid, money, and everything for children back in the small hometown I grew up in just outside of Kansas City. I used to have a massive golf tournament where I had 88 foursomes playing in a golf tournament. 7 o'clock in the morning, we'd have 44 teeing off, then at 1:30 have 44 teeing off, and then that night I'd get them all drunked up. And I had the best live
Hanford
auctions.
already likes this.
There we go.
Golf,
yeah,
drinks.
you'll love this, and get them at the live auction. And I would have Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, PGA, rock music, rap music, all the different stars in the world that I've helped do things before would sign things, and we would sell those and make tons and tons of money for children to have another opportunity to do things that someone else told them before, well, you can never do.
Coach, let me say this. We're wrapping up here, but I remember, we talk about the football players and the egos and all this, and I remember one particular day we were having a meeting, and this was Marty Schottenheimer walked in the meeting, and he said, everyone out of here except Hanford Dixon, you stay. And when he said that, I knew I was in trouble. You talking about got real small, slid down in that chair, and I knew I was in trouble. But I know you keep players in line. You just know how to. But I know you had a certain quarterback that you know who I'm talking about.
You love it. He's one of my all-time favorite. Baker Mayfield is one of my all-time favorite. But you know what? Sometimes, you got to be able to help him understand exactly what you mean. And some of my coaching points have been, okay, young man, come right on in here. So let's just talk right here. And you know what? And he was the kind of person, and Baker.
He loves that. He
loves
I
that.
got it.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Now I understand exactly what you want to do. You're going to own this too, aren't you, Coach? And we're right here chit-chatting with it, and again, which is fantastic. And I'm really enjoying watching him right now. He's the number one quarterback in the National Football League right now on third down. And you'll love this is that when I took over, we'd given up 38 sacks and 41 hits on the quarterback the first 8 games. And what I did was I changed all the protections and changed all this kind of stuff and went from 26 protections down to 6. He's freaking out like, how am I going to do this? And I say, you want to know how you do this? Get rid of the ball. Okay, don't hold the ball. You understand this? And so, hey, the last 8 games, he only gave up 2 sacks and 7 hits on the quarterback. Can't be that simple. Maybe I just needed to be more direct.
We look forward to you being more direct on our show and giving us more stories like this. Thank you so
careful what
much.
you wish for.
Gregg Williams, Top Dog, Hanford Dixon. Shout out to Blake. Catch us next time right here on the Big Play Football Show.